Killing off a character is one of the hardest things a writer has to do. You wouldn't think it now, would you? But it's true. As readers, you think characters are fictional, you've created them, you can control them, so it should be easy enough to decide when it's time for them to go. But it's not. It's never that simple. Especially when you've spent months, perhaps even years, building that character, writing their story, getting inside their head, their thoughts, their emotions. It feels so personal. It feels extremely real. I cannot stress that enough. When I'm about to kill off a character, when I know it's something I have to do, for me, it always starts off with a sense of dread, even before I've written the scene. I know it's coming. Sometimes I've planned it from the start, other times it just comes out of nowhere. And it's the realization that for the sake of the story, this character cannot make it to the end, no way. And you know what? That's when it gets really hard, because it's not just about the plot anymore. It's about them, who they are, what they've been through, and how much they've grown. And then I've created them, and now I have to take it all away. You build these characters from the ground up. They start off as ideas, little sketches in your mind, little sketches in a notebook, on a napkin. But by the time you reach the point where their death is inevitable, they've become so much more. They have history, they have relationships, they have fears, desires, flaws, everything that makes them feel real. And somehow the idea of cutting this story short feels wrong, like you're betraying them somehow, like you're cutting that familial cord that has strengthened your bond. However, death is a part of life, and it's painful, but it's a part of life. And in storytelling, in my opinion, death is necessary. Sometimes their death serves a story in ways their survival never could. It raises the stakes, deepens the emotional impact. Sometimes it drives other characters forward. But even when I know it's the right decision for the narrative, it doesn't make it any easier to write. I remember the first time I had to kill off a character in my Dwellers Beneath the Arches series. I didn't expect it to hit me as hard as it did. In my opinion, I thought, I'm the writer, I'm in control, I can handle this. But as I started writing the scene, I realized I was saying goodbye. It felt like I was losing someone I knew, someone I cared about. I had to put myself in their shoes, feel their pain, their fear, and their last moments. Once I finished the chapter, I sat there, staring at my paper, all my scribbled notes, and I think I was in shock. I hadn't just written a death, I'd felt it as well. And that's something readers don't always realize. Writers feel these moments so desperately. We live in these worlds as much as our characters do. We get very attached. We're very invested. So when we get to write those final scenes, when we kill off a character that we spend so long with, it leaves a mark. It leaves us with a strange mix of grief and guilt, but also pride. Pride because, despite the pain of it, we know it was the right thing for the story. We know that their death will resonate and that it will mean something to the readers. But that doesn't mean the process is easy. There were times when I tried to avoid it. I'd stare at the outline, I'd search for other ways. Could I rewrite the plot to let them live? Would it upset the readers, especially if it was a series? A lot of readers don't like seeing their favorite characters die. Could I change their fate without ruining the story? But I always follow the writing first, and as a writer, I have to be honest with the narrative. Sometimes a death is what the story needs. even if it hurts me to write it, and it's what I need to move the story and the plot forward. And after it's done, there's this weird emptiness. That character's gone from the story, and suddenly there's a space where they used to be. I won't be writing them into any more scenes. There's no more dialogue, no more growth, no more plot lines. It's over for them, and I have to move on. But it's hard to move on when their absence leaves a hole, not just in the story, but in me as a writer. Because, let's be honest, characters aren't just tools for the plots. They're parts of us, part of our imagination. We spend hours, days, years bringing them to life, and losing them feels like losing a piece of ourselves. It's strange, isn't it, that something you created, something that only exists in your mind and on the page, can leave such an impact. But that's what makes writing so powerful. We breathe life into these characters, we give them purpose, and when we take it away, it feels like a real loss. However, there's something beautiful in that. In creating a character that's so real, so alive, that their death feels like a loss, and we feel it so keenly. It means that you've done your job right. It means they mattered, not just to the story, but to you. And hopefully, they will mean a lot to your readers too. I think about that a lot when I'm struggling with a character's death. I remind myself that death, as painful as it can be a powerful storytelling tool. It's not just about shock value, it's about what that character leaves behind. How their absence changes the world around them. How their death affects the other characters, the plot, and most importantly, the reader. It should hurt because death isn't supposed to be easy. It's part of life, but it's not meant to be easy. In the end, killing of a character is just part of that journey. It's a reminder that as much as we writers control the narrative, we're also at the mercy of it. We don't make these decisions lightly, and we don't walk away unaffected. But that's what makes storytelling so compelling. The highs and the lows, the joy and the heartbreak. Because as much as we hate it, death is a part of every story, even the ones we create. And sometimes saying goodbye to a character is what makes the story truly unforgettable and truly remarkable. So if you are a writer struggling to introduce the concept of death to your books, to your stories, to your novels, I would say you have to get very, very comfortable with it. You have to get very comfortable with the idea. Your readers may not always like it, but if it moves the plot forward, go ahead and do it. And once you've written that last scene, that last chapter with them in it, take some time off, go for a walk, go for a hike, hug your dog, have a coffee, see some friends. Just give yourself time to grieve that loss.